नूर बिहारी जू की जाय। श्री गोविंद गोपीनाथ मरन मोहन जू की जाय। नित्य प्रविष्टो विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तर शतशिमार भक्ति वेदांत नारायण गोसाई महाराज श्री गुरुदेव की जाय। नित्य प्रविष्टो विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तर शतशिमार भक्ति वेदांत वामन गोसाई महाराज की जाय। नित्य प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तर शतशिमार भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी महाराज श्री प्रभुपाद की जाय। नित्य प्रविष्ट महाभागवत श्री गोरक्षदास बाबाजी महाराज की जाय। नित्य प्रविष्ट श्री सच्चिदानंद भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर की जाय। नित्य प्रविष्ट वैष्णव सार्वभौम श्री जगन्नाथ दास बाबाजी महाराज की जाय। श्री रूपानुगौर्य गुरु वर्ग की जाय। श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल भट्टदास रघुनाथ शारद गोसाई प्रभु की जाय। श्री स्वरूप दामोदर राय रामानंदारी श्री गौर पार्षद वृंद की जाय। नाम अक्षय श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जाय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जाय। श्री क्षेत्र मंडल गौर मंडल ब्रज मंडल मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जाय। सर्व अभिष्ट प्रदात गिरिराज महाराज की जाय। श्री राधा कुंद श्याम कुंद की जाय। श्री यमुना देवी गंगा देवी की जाय। श्री तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी की जाय। श्री भक्ति देवी की जाय। श्री पूर्णमासी योग माया की जाय। श्री गोपेश्वर महादेव की जाय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जाय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। समागत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। ओम ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपदाय राधिकाय नारायणामिने। नमो ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। राधिकाय तदा कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तरभक्ताय नमो नमः। प्रव्रजन्तमनुपेतमपेतकृतायपायनो विरहकातर आजुहाव पुत्रेति तन्मयतया तरवोऽभिनेदुस्तं सर्वभूत हृदयां मुनिमानतोऽस्मि। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। शृण्वतं स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तन हृदन्तस्थो यभद्राणि विधुनोति सुहृत्सतम्। नष्टप्रयेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भागवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टकी। तवैवास्मि तवैवास्मि न जीवामि त्वया विना इति विज्ञाय राधे त्वं नायमां चरणान्तिकम्। भक्त्या विहीना अपराधलक्षाय क्षिप्ताष्टकामादितरङ्गमध्ये कृपामयि त्वं शरणं प्रपन्ना वृन्दे नमस्ते चरणारविन्दम्। भज श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hari Bol, Ganga Mataji and Gargaraj ji, Rup Manjari Didi and Nitai, Indira Mataji and Hladini Shakti Didi. Dandavat pranams to all of you. Alright, so yesterday, let's go over the first few verses we went over. Yeah. 1 second. Okay. So, King Nimi, he inquired, this was his last question to the Navayogendras. He said, "In what colors and forms does the Supreme Personality of Godhead appear in each of the different ages? And with what names and by what types of regulative principles is the Lord worshipped in human society?" So in answer to that, 1 second, I just need to... Okay. So in answer to that, Shri Karabhajana said, "In each of the 4 yugas or ages, Krita, Treta, Dwapar, and Kali, Lord Keshav appears with various complexions, names, and forms, and is thus worshipped by various processes. In Satya Yuga, the Lord is white and 4-armed, has matted locks, and wears a garment of tree bark. He carries a black deerskin, a sacred thread, prayer beads, and the rod and water pot of a brahmachari. People in Satya Yuga are peaceful, non-envious, friendly to every creature, and steady in all situations. They worship the Supreme Personality by austere meditation and by internal and external sense control. In Satya Yuga, the Lord is glorified by the names Hamsa, Suparna, Vaikunta, Dharma, Yogeshwara, Amala, Ishvara, Purusha, Avyakta, and Paramatma. In Treta Yuga, the Lord appears with a red complexion. He has 4 arms, golden hair, and wears a triple belt representing initiation into each of the 3 Vedas. Embodying the knowledge of worship by sacrificial performance, which is contained in the Rig, Sama, and Yajur Vedas, his symbols are the ladle, spoon, and other implements of sacrifice. In Treta Yuga, those members of human society who are fixed in religiosity and are sincerely interested in achieving the ultimate truth worship Lord Hari, who contains within himself all the demigods. The Lord is worshipped by the rituals of sacrifice taught in the 3 Vedas. In Treta Yuga, the Lord is glorified by the names Vishnu, Yagya, Prishnigarbha, Sarvadeva, Urukrama, Vrishakapi, Jayanta, and Urugai. In Dwapar Yuga, the Supreme Personality of Godhead appears with a dark blue complexion, wearing yellow garments. The Lord's transcendental body is marked in this incarnation with Shrivatsa and other distinctive ornaments, and he manifests his personal weapons. My dear King, in Dwapar Yuga, men who desire to know the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the Supreme Enjoyer, worship him in the mood of honoring a great king, following the prescriptions of both the Vedas and Tantras. Obeisances to you, O Supreme Lord Vasudev, and to your forms of Sankarshan, Pradumna, and Aniruddha. O Supreme Personality of Godhead, all obeisances unto you. O Narayan Rishi, O Creator of the universe, best of personalities, master of this cosmos, and original form of the universe. O supersoul of all created entities, all homage unto you. O King, in this way, people in Dwapar Yuga glorified the Lord of the universe. In Kali Yuga also, people worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead by following various regulations of the revealed scriptures. Now kindly hear of this from me. And now we come to this very famous verse, which we read a lot about. Yeah. Okay, from Srila Sridhara Gosvāmī especially. Krishna Varnam Tvisha Krishnam Sangopangastra Parshadam Yagyai Sankirtana Prayar Yajanti Hi Sumedasaha. In the age of Kali, intelligent persons perform congregational chanting to worship the incarnation of Godhead, who constantly sings the names of Krishna. Although his complexion is not blackish, he is Krishna himself. He is accompanied by his associates, servants, weapons, and confidential companions. So, I'm just now getting the inspiration to maybe read Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's, like from Bhajan-rahasya. We read just the translation from Bhajan-rahasya, but and the translation is actually really helpful. Let's read this translation again, actually. So, and in Bhajan-rahasya, the first verse, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur only changed the fourth line. He changed it from Yajanti Hi Sumedasa, the intelligent, those who are intelligent worship him. He changed it to Bhajami Kali, Shri, who delivers. Okay, so I worship Shri Gauranga, who delivers the living entities of Kali Yuga, Kali Pavana, through the congregational chanting of the Lord's holy names, through Nam Sankirtan Yagya. He describes the name, form, qualities, and pastimes of Sri Krishna. He performs kirtan of the two syllables Kri and Shna. His complexion is fair. He is surrounded by his angas. See, he says Sango Sa Anga, Upanga, Astra, and Parshad. So now it explains what these Anga, Upanga, Astra, and Parshad mean. So he is surrounded by his Angas, associates, meaning Sri Nityananda Prabhu and Sri Advaita Prabhu. Upangas, that's servitors, meaning Srivas Pandit and other pure devotees. And Parshads, confidential companions like Sri Sarup Damodar and Sri Raya Ramananda, Sri Gadadhar Pandit, and the 6 Goswamis. And he is endowed with his weapon, the Astra of Harinam, which destroys ignorance. One second, just checking the comments again. Hare Krishna, Shasharmaji, Madhavi Didi, Pradyumna Prabhu, and Mantra Murti Mataji. Dandavat pranams to all of you. So then Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, a verse similar in meaning to text 1 is found in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 11.5.32. Krishna Varnam Tvisa Krishnam Sangha, that verse that we just did. In the age of Kali, Krishna appears with a golden complexion, Krishna. He is constantly singing the two syllables Kri and Shna, and he is accompanied by his associates, servitors, weapons, and confidential companions. Intelligent people worship him by performing Sankirtan Yagya. And we heard Srila Sridhara Gosvāmī Mahārāja explains how this word Krishna Varnam has two meanings. One means that he sings the two Varnas, Kri and Shna, or it can mean that he is inwardly, his Varna is Krishna, but externally his complexion is Akrishna. So internally he's Krishna, but he's covered by the golden complexion of Srimati Radhika. And he gave a verse by Srila Jiva Goswami explaining that. and says how Radharani wants to cover Krishna's body so that when he's going through her moods, that she will be protecting his body. Right? He explains something like that. Anyways. Okay, so then Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Kali jiva udharite paratattva hari navadvipa ailagora rupa avishkari yuga dharma krishna nam smarana kirtan sangopange vitarilo diya premadhan jiver sunita dharma nama sankirtan anya sabha dharma nama siddhir karan. Shri Hari, who is the absolute truth himself, descended in Navadvip as Gaurasundar to deliver the living entities, the jivas of Kali Yuga. Together with his associates, he distributed the treasure of Krishna Prem through Sri Krishna Nam Sankirtan, the religion of the current age, the Yuga Dharma. Nam Sankirtan is the living entity's only eternal religion. All other dharmas are simply secondary means to attain perfection in chanting. Let's see, how long is Gurudev's commentary to this? Oh, okay, we might have to skip around a little bit. So then Gurudev says, Gurudev's commentary, the Bhajan Rahasya Vritti, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur begins this book by praying to Srimad Mahaprabhu. The jiva's only duty is to worship Shri Gaurasundar, who is resplendent with the luster and sentiment of Shri Radha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya, the central figure, the Mool Tattva in Navadvip Lila, comprises 5 features, Pancha Tattva Atmak. He and his 4 other forms, Shri Nityananda Prabhu, Shri Advaita Acharya, Shri Gadadhar, and the associates headed by Srivas, are all supremely worshipful. The worship and service of Shri Gaurasundar are performed only through Nam Sankirtan. By this process, which is the most powerful of the 9 kinds of bhakti, all the limbs of bhakti are practiced. Even if the other types of sadhan are not performed during kirtan, kirtan is sufficient in itself. Archan, smaran, and so forth are nourished solely through kirtan. Actual service to Sri Krishna is carried out through sankirtan, a process prescribed by the Pancha Tattva Atmak Shri Gaurasundar. Srimad Mahaprabhu and his associates assembled and showed through Sri Krishna Nam Sankirtan how to perform service to and worship of the Lord. In this first text, the author establishes that Sri Gaurasundar is Krishna himself. In the word Krishna Varnam, we find the 2 syllables Kri and Shna. Hence, the quality of being Krishna, his Krishnatva, which is itself the quality of being Bhagavan, his Bhagavata, is displayed in the name Shri Krishna Chaitanya. Krishna Varnam also refers to that person who, by remembering his previous supremely blissful pastimes of Keli Vilas, becomes absorbed in transcendental sentiments due to intense jubilation and always describes, here meaning performs kirtan of, the name of Krishna. He has assumed a fair complexion, and out of supreme compassion, he has instructed all living entities to chant Krishna's name, which will naturally manifest in their hearts simply by receiving Sri Gaurasundar's darshan. Sri Krishna, who possesses the potency to make the impossible possible, the Aghatana Patiyasi Shaktiman, he accepted the form of a devotee and appeared as Gaurasundar. In other words, Sri Krishna himself directly manifested as Gaurasundar. This incarnation of Sri Chaitanya Dev is extremely difficult for ordinary sadhaks to understand. In Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 7.938, Prahlāda Mahārāja says, Channa kalo yad abhavatas triyugo tasatvam. And Srila Sridhara Gosvāmī was quoting this also. O Purushottam, in Kali Yuga you are concealed. Channa kalo. Your name, therefore, is Triyuga, the Lord who appears only in 3 yugas, because this covered incarnation is not clearly evident in any scripture. When the great scholar Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya saw the brightly shining ecstatic transformations in Srimad Mahaprabhu, he was amazed. He knew that these extremely rare transcendental sentiments are not seen in any human being. Nevertheless, he doubted that Srimad Mahaprabhu was Krishna himself and expressed this to Sri Gopinath Acharya. He says, Ataiva Triyuga Kori kohi Vishnu naam, Kali Yuga-avatar, nahi Shastra Gyan. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya said, the verdict of the scriptures is that there is no incarnation of Sri Vishnu in Kali Yuga. Hence, one name of Sri Vishnu is Triyuga. Hearing this, Gopinathacharya said, Kali Yuge Lila-avatara na kore Bhagavan, Ataiva Triyuga kori kohitar nam, Prati Yuga koren Krishna Yuga avatar, Tarkanishta hridaya tomar nahi ko vichar. This is all from Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, chapter 6. In Kali Yuga, there is no Lila avatar of Sri Bhagavan. Therefore, his name is Triyuga. But certainly there is an incarnation in each yuga, and such an incarnation is called a Yuga-avatar. Your heart has become hardened by logic and arguments, and thus you cannot consider these facts. On the other hand, when Sri Rai Ramananda, who is Vishaka Sakhi in Vrajalila, received darshan of Mahaprabhu, he clearly realized his identity. He said, Pahile dekilu tomar sanyasi swarup, ebe toma deki mui shama goparup, tomara samuke deki kanchana panchalika, tar gora kante tomar sarva anga dhaka. At first I saw you in the form of a sannyasi, but then I saw you as a dark-complexioned cowherd boy. Now I see a shining figure in front of you, whose golden luster appears to cover your entire body. Statements in various Puranas prove that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Sri Krishna, the source of all incarnations. At the time of Krishna's name-giving ceremony, Sri Gargacharya said, and we went over this verse a few times, yes, a couple times at least, Sanvarnastrayo yasya grinato nu yugantanu shuklo rakta tatapita idangnen Krishna tangata. Your son Krishna appears in every yuga as an avatar. Previously he assumed 3 colors, white, red, and yellow, and now he has appeared in a blackish color. So what is the yellow one? Gauranga Mahaprabhu. The Mahabharata, Dana Dharma, anyways, it states, Suvarna Varna Hemango Varangash Charanangari Sanyasa Krich Chama Shanto Nishta Shanti Parayana. Bhishma said to Yudhishthira Maharaj, Krishna first appears as a grihasta with a golden complexion. His limbs are the color of molten gold. His body is extremely peaceful. He is decorated with sandalwood pulp, and he continuously chants Krishna. Then he accepts sannyas and is always equipoised. He is firmly fixed in his mission of propagating Harinam Sankirtan, and he defeats the impersonalist philosophers who are opposed to Bhakti. He is thus the highest abode of peace and devotion. Furthermore, it is said in Bhagavad Gita 4.8, Dharma Samsthapanarthaya Sambhavami Yuge Yuge. To re-establish the principles of religion, I appear in every yuga. The Agama Shastras state, Maya Pure Bhavishyami Shachi Suttaha. In the future, the son of Shachi will appear in Mayapur. Sri Jiva Gosvāmī writes in Tattva Sandarbha Anuched 2, Anta Krishnam Bahirgoram Darshitangari Vaibhavam Kalo Sankirtana Adhyasma Krishna Chaitanya Ashrita. I take shelter of Sri Krishna Chaitanya, who is outwardly Gaur, of fair complexion, but is inwardly Krishna himself. In Kali Yuga, he displays his associates, servitors, and confidential companions while performing Sankirtan. It's very similar to the Krishna Varnam Tisa Krishna verse, isn't it? And in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 8.279, it is said, Radhikara Bhavakanti Kori Angikar Nija Rasa Ashvadite Kori Yacho Avatar. To taste your own transcendental mellow, you appeared as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, accepting the sentiment and luster of Srimati Radhika. That's Rai Ramananda said that. The rays of Sri Krishna Chaitanya's yellow luster, which resemble molten gold, destroy the darkness of ignorance. To destroy the darkness of the activities that are opposed to bhakti performed by living entities in Kali Yuga, Srimad Mahaprabhu wanders the earth together with his angas, his associates, his upangas, his servitors, and his parshads, confidential companions. And with the weapon of the Sankirtan of Hare Krishna and other names of Bhagavan, he appears with those four things. Other incarnations destroyed the demons with armies and weapons, but Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Angas and Upangas are his army. According to the scriptures, the word Anga means Angsha, or part, and the Anga of an Anga, a part of a part, is called an Upanga. Sri Nityananda and Sri Advaita Acharya are both Sri Chaitanya's Angas, and their parts, the Upangas, are Srivas and the other devotees who always accompany Mahaprabhu. They preach Bhagavan's name, Hare Krishna, which is itself the sharp weapon capable of destroying atheism. In this text, the adjective Sankirtan Prayai, which means consisting chiefly of congregational chanting, defines Harinam Sankirtan Yagya as Abhideya Tattva, the means to attain the goal. In the incarnation of Sriman Mahaprabhu, the main weapon is Harinam Sankirtan, by which he destroys the atheism of the atheists and the sins of the sinful. He who worships Sri Chaitanya Dev through Sri Nam Sankirtan Yagya is intelligent and attains all perfection. He who does not worship him is unfortunate, unintelligent, and devoid of pious merit, devoid of sukriti. To conclude, in this age of Kali, the only objects worthy of meditation are Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's lotus feet, which fulfill all treasured desires. Apart from Sri Chaitanya Dev's mercy, nothing is eternal or permanent. Rather, everything is perishable and incapable of fulfilling these desires. Okay, so that was the first verse of Bhajanahasya and commentary by my Gurudev. Now we will go through Srila Bhakti Rakṣaka Sridhara Gosvāmī Mahārāja's commentary. We already read Srila Sridhara Gosvāmī Mahārāja's commentary for this verse, Krishna Varnam Tvisha Krishnam. And now we'll read for the next two verses that come up. Oh, and Haribol Surevi Didi, Dandavat Pranams. Okay, this is a little bit of a different topic, so I'll look at this later. Oh, wait, no, it is, you see. He is the Angsha of the Sudarshan Chakra. Interesting. Huh. Very interesting, Pradyumna Prabhu. Okay, okay, this is, now we're reading from the Golden Volcano of Divine Love. This is also the beginning of the book. This is how the book starts. So this is all what we read yesterday. The Golden Avatar. And went over this verse, Krishna Varnam Tvisha Krishnam. And we already read this verse by Jiva Goswami. And all the evidence in different places in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Gargacharya, sweetness tasting itself. Yeah, so there's beautiful explanation. Okay. So Kara Bhajan Rishi, the last of the 9 great yogis, has given us a clue to understand Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as the special incarnation for the age. He has mentioned the incarnation for this age of Kali in a mystic way. Okay. We may think, why has this not been described very plainly? So many avatars are clearly described, but when Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam describes Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as the incarnation for the age of Kali, it is discussed in a mystic way. The answer is found in the teachings of Prahlāda Mahārāja, who says, "O Lord, one of your names is Tri-yuga, meaning one who incarnates in 3 ages, Satya, Treta, and Dvapar, but not in Kali." And why? Because the incarnation for the age of Kali is in disguise. Chana kalo yad abhavas triyugos ta satvam. Here we find the key to this mystic way of representing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the fortunate and intelligent circle, the Sumedasa, that ordinary people may not have any clue. And now we come to the next verse that Gaura Bhajana says to Mahārāja Nimi. Okay. Deyam sada paribhavagnam abhishta doham tirtaspadam shiva virinchi nutam sharanyam Vrityartiham pranatapala bhavabdhipotam Vande Mahapurushute Charanaravindam. O Mahaprabhu, your lotus feet are the highest object of meditation, for they not only destroy the pain of material existence, but they bestow the greatest fulfillment to all souls who take shelter of them, who take shelter beneath them. Your lotus feet even purify all saintly persons in holy places. Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma aspire to take shelter beneath your lotus feet. O Mahaprabhu, you give shelter to all who simply bow down before you. You relieve all the miseries of your surrendered servants. In the grand ship of your lotus feet, we can cross over this ocean of material miseries. O Mahaprabhu, I bow down before your lotus feet. After mentioning the incarnation of Godhead for the age of Kali, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam suddenly begins this song in praise of the great Yuga-avatar Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. With a grand voice, the Bhagavatam has come to sing the praise of that guide for Kali Yuga. This follows the verse which hints at the avatar of Kali Yuga. Krishna Varnam means one who is always describing Krishna, who always has on his lips the words Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Another meaning of this expression is one who is Krishna himself, but whose luster is not black. If we look deeply, we shall find that hidden beneath his golden luster is the blackish body of Krishna, with his own paraphernalia, and he has come to this plane, and service to him is performed only by Sankirtan, by divine sound and mass prayer. By that symptom, we can recognize his divine position. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a hidden incarnation. He comes in disguise. Such an avatar is worshipped by the divinely intellectual. In this way, the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam first describes that uncommon, extraordinary personality, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in a mystic way, and then proclaims his nobility and greatness. The Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam explains, that same personality who came as Ramachandra and Krishna has again appeared. He has come to direct you to the real fulfillment of life. He is drawing the sweetest nectar from above for the sake of everyone. Only meditate on him, and all your troubles will be finished. He is the agent purifying all the holy places of pilgrimage and saintly persons by his touch, by his sankirtan, by his drawing the highest things down from the highest plane. And even Brahma and Shiva, puzzled by his noble gift, will begin to praise him. They will eagerly aspire to take shelter under his lotus feet and surrender. The pains of all who come to serve him will be removed, and their inner necessities will be fulfilled. And he will take care of those who take shelter of him. They will be given protection as well as everything they may need. In this world where mortality rules, where we are continually experiencing the undesirable changes of repeated birth and death, in this area where no one wants to live, a great ship will come for us and take us within and carry us away from this unpleasant position. Let us fall at the feet of that great personality who comes to give the highest nectar. The Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam continues. Tyaktva sudustyaja surepsita rajya lakshmi dharmishta arya vachasa yadagaranyam maya mrigam dayitayepsitam anvadhavar vande mahapurushate charanaravindam. O Supreme Lord, you gave up the goddess of fortune and her grand opulence, which is most difficult to abandon, and is sought after even by the gods. In order to perfectly establish the principles of religion, you left for the forest to honor the Brahman's curse. To deliver the sinful souls who chase illusory pleasures, you search after them and award them your devotional service. At the same time, you are engaged in search of yourself, in search for Sri Krishna, reality the beautiful. Srila Viśvanātha Cakravartī Ṭhākura has given his explanation, which we read yesterday, that although it seems that this verse applies to Lord Ramachandra, who left his kingdom and went with Sita Devi to the forest to discharge the duties designed by his father, this also applies to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Viśvanātha Cakravartī Ṭhākura has drawn out the internal meaning of this verse and applied it in the case of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Tyaktva sudustyaja surepsita rajya lakshmim means he left imperial prosperity, which is hard to abandon. Generally, we find this in the case of Lord Ramachandra, but Viśvanātha Cakravartī Ṭhākura says that surepsita rajya lakshmin means the valuable devotional company of Vishnu Priya Devi. It actually makes more sense that this refers to Mahaprabhu also, because the verse before it is describing Kali Yuga. We already finished Treta Yuga, right? And so now we come to Kali Yuga. So then why would he be going back and explaining Ramachandra of Treta Yuga, right? That thought just came. So it means that the valuable devotional, instead of Sita, it means the valuable devotional company of Vishnu Priya Devi. That may not appear to be a materially big thing, but the dedication that Vishnu Priya has shown in her heart for Srimad Mahaprabhu is greater than any imperial standard. And he had to leave that behind. Such a standard of sacrifice and service is never found even among the great society of the gods. For the sake of the public welfare, he had to ignore the serving, loving attitude of Vishnu Priya. The curse of a Brahmana. This verse mentions the curse of a Brahmana. That Brahmana told Srimad Mahaprabhu, "I want to participate in your nocturnal kirtans in which you taste Krishna Lila, but the doors are closed." When Srimad Mahaprabhu used to perform kirtan and taste the Vraja Lila of Krishna, he did so behind closed doors in deep night. But this Brahman thought himself a very qualified religious person because he lived only by drinking milk and nothing else. So he said, I must have entrance into that kirtan. I do not eat anything but milk. Why should I not be allowed?" Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, "Milk drinking is no qualification for entering into Krishna consciousness." The Brahman said, "Then I curse you to lose your family life." "All right," Mahaprabhu said, and accepted the curse. And later, he took sannyas and chased after those who were misguided by Maya Devi in order to save them. At the same time, although he is Krishna, he accepted the mood of Srimati Radharani. For these two reasons, he left his apparently worldly life. He acted for the welfare of the public and, after finishing that work, spent the next 12 years tasting the very inner aspiration of Srimati Radharani and searching after his own inner sweetness. This is what he came to show to the world. In this mystic way, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam has proclaimed the magnanimous appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All right, so there we get my Gurudev's and Srila Goswami Maharaja's commentary for these 3 verses spoken by Karabhajana. All right, so now we come to verse 35. That's where we left off yesterday. Thus, O King, the Supreme Lord Hari is the giver of all desirable benefits of life. Intelligent human beings worship the particular forms and names of the Lord that the Lord manifests in different ages. Okay, so let's read from this. Oops. This is Viśvanātha Cakravartī Ṭhākura's commentary. Okay. Evam yuganurupabhyam Bhagavan Yuga-avatars Manujar ijjate rajan Shreyasam Ishvaro Hari. O King, the Supreme Lord, the giver of all desirable benefits, is worshipped by men in different yugas by these forms and names. Sārārtha-darśīni commentary by Śrīla Viśvanātha Cakravartī Ṭhākura. The Lord is worshipped in these forms with those names. It is said, Katyante varnanamabhyam Shukla Satya Yuge Hari Rakta Shama Kramat Krishnas Tretayam Dvapare Kalo. The Yuga-avataras will be described by name and color. In Satya Yuga, the Lord is white and called Shukla. In Treta Yuga, he is red and is called Rakta. In Dwapar Yuga, he is blackish and called Sham. And in Kali Yuga, he is black and called Krishna. Interesting. That's from the Logo Bhagavatamrita 1.4.25. In Satya Yuga, the Lord is also called Hamsa and Suparna. In Treta Yuga, he is called Vishnu and Yagya. In Dwapar Yuga, he is called Vasudeva and Sankarshan. These have been mentioned in the previous verses. In Kali Yuga, other names also exist, as in previous ages, mentioned, in order that the secret of Lord Chaitanya's appearance is not revealed. Kalim Sabhajayantarya Guna Gyasara Bhagina Yatra Sankirtane Naiva Sarvasvarto Bhilabhyate. Those who are actually advanced in knowledge, who know quality, who have accepted the best those people praise Kali Yuga, because in this fallen age, all perfection of life can easily be achieved by the performance of Sankirtan. Commentary. Among the 4 yugas, which is the best? Those who know the quality of preaching through kirtan, who accepted the best without the bad, glorify Kali. How can they accept the best part of Kali when Kali is full of faults? Though Kali has unlimited faults, it also has unlimited good qualities. In Kali Yuga, everything that is attained in other yugas is attained by Sankirtan. It is said, Hyayan krite yajan yagyais tretayam dvaparer chayam yar apnoti tarapnoti kalo sankirta keshavam. Whatever is achieved by meditation in Satya Yuga, by the performance of sacrifice in Treta Yuga, or by the worship of Krishna's lotus feet in Dwapar Yuga, is also obtained in the Kali Yuga, simply by chanting the glories of Lord Keshav. That's from the Brihan Naradiya Purana 3897. There are also some verses in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam that say the same thing, in the 12th canto, I think. Nahyata paramo labho dehinam brahmyatam iha yato vindeta paramam shantim nashyati sangsriti. For the conditioned souls wandering in this world, there is no greater attainment than Sankirtan, from which one obtains bhakti, full of peace, and by which sangsara is destroyed. Commentary. This verse describes the essence of all attainments. The greatest attainment for those who are wandering in this world is Sankirtan, from which one attains bhakti, the highest object which is full of peace. Shantim modifies paramam. Just checking the comments quickly. Okay. Kritadishu prajarajan kalavichanti sambhavan kalo kalu bhavishyanti narayana parayana kvachit Mahārāja travideshu chabhurisha tamraparni nadi yatra kritamala payasvini kaveri cha mahapunya pratichi cha mahanadi ye pibanti jalam tasam manuja manujeshvara prayo bhakta bhagavati vasudeva malashaya. O King, the inhabitants of Satya Yuga and other ages eagerly desire to take birth in this age of Kali, since in this age there will be many devotees of the Supreme Lord Narayan. These devotees will appear in various places, but will be especially numerous in South India and Bengal. O Master of Men, In the age of Kali, those persons who drink the waters of the holy rivers of South India, such as the Tamraparni, Kritamala, Payasvini, the extremely pious Kaveri, and the Pratichi Mahanadi, will almost all be pure-hearted devotees of the Supreme Lord Vasudeva. It is true also Bhakti started in the South India, didn't it? Through the Alvars, right? Pure bhakti arising from devotee association is generally available in Kali Yuga. Where there are many devotees dedicated to Narayan who desire only bhakti, bhakti will arise by their association, and this will become prem bhakti. That is what is expressed here. The word cha indicates other places like Bengal. Devarshi bhutapta nrinam pitrinam nakinkaro nayam rini charajan sarvatmanaya sharanam sharanyam gato mukundam parihritta. O king, one who has given up all varnashram duties and has taken full shelter of the lotus feet of Mukunda, who offers shelter to all, is not a debtor to or servant of the devatas, great sages, ordinary living beings, relatives, or pitris. Commentary. This verse shows that bhakti is devoid of the troubles caused by daily and occasional duties, such as shraddha rites and the tarpanas. Apta refers to those who give nourishment, such as mother and father. Devatas refers to the devatas of the 5 sacrifices. One involved in karmas is the debtor and servant of the devatas, sages, living beings, parents, and pitris. He daily performs the 5 sacrifices for them. Smriti says, Parikshinam rinartham karma karayet. One should perform karmas for destroying debts. That is not so, but that is not so for the devotees who have surrendered completely to Mukunda. It is just like a person who, on being accepted as the servant of the emperor of the earth, cannot be the servant of the ruler of one state. This person has given up all prescribed varnashram duties, or has given up all distinctions. When one worships Vishnu, all worship of the devatas and pitris is accomplished, as is stated elsewhere. Yatha toror mula nishechanena tripyanti tat skanda bhujo pashakaha prano paharachcha yatendriyanam tataiva sarvarhanam achutejya. By giving water to the root of a tree, one satisfies its branches, twigs, and leaves. And by supplying food to the stomach, one satisfies all the senses of the body. Similarly, by engaging in the transcendental service of the Supreme Lord, one automatically satisfies all the devatas and all other living entities. That's Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 4:31-14. The Lord himself has said, Tavat karmani kurvita na nirvidyet dhyavata mat katha shavanadhova shraddha yavan najayate. One should continue to perform the Vedic ritualistic activities until one actually becomes detached from material sense gratification and develops faith for hearing and chanting about me. That's in chapter 20 of the 11th canto, verse 9. Thus the devotee has far surpassed the qualification for karma. Swaparamolam bhajata priyasya Tyaktanya bhavasya hari paresha Vikarma yachchot patitam katashchid Dhunoti sarvam redisannivishta. One who has thus given up all other engagements and has taken full shelter at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord is very dear to the Lord. If such a surrendered soul accidentally commits some sinful activity, The Supreme Lord, because of his affection for the devotee seated within everyone's heart, immediately takes away the reaction to such sin. Wow, that's very similar to the Apichet Sudara Charovers. Commentary. Having negated all prescribed karmas, now the sage negates atonement for committing sinful acts. A person who has given up the thought of obligation to worship the devatas should not have a tendency to commit sin. If, however, by illusion this happens, the Lord destroys the reaction. But it is seen that masters punish their servants when the servants commit sin. The Lord should also punish his servants. Now, in answer to this, the devotee will not be punished because he is dear to the Lord. That is the Lord's great quality. Does the devotee not perform worship to destroy sin? The answer to that is, the Lord is situated in the heart of all beings. The Lord, with his inherent powers, does not depend on the devotee for having to request this. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Dharman Bhagavatan itan Śrutvata mitileshvara Jayanteyan munin prita Sopadhyayo hyapujayat. Narad said, having thus heard the science of devotional service, Nimi, the king of Mithila, felt extremely satisfied and, along with the sacrificial priests, offered respectful worship to the sagacious sons of Jayanti. Commentary. Jayanteyan means the sons of Jayanti. Tatontar dadhire siddha sarvalokasya pashyata raja dharmam upatishtan avapa paramam gatim. The perfect sages then disappeared before the eyes of everyone present. King Nimi, fixed in the principles of spiritual life, achieves the supreme goal. Tvam apyetan mahabhaga dharman bhagavatan shrutan astita shraddhaya yukto nisango yasyase param. Dandava pranams, Sajjan Maharaj. Hare Krishna. O greatly fortunate Vasudev, simply apply with faith these principles of devotional service which you have heard, and thus, being free from material association, you will attain the Supreme Lord. Commentary. A Nityasiddha devotee with the identity as Krishna's father, Vasudeva, has an eternal body like the Lord, but by the will of the Lord, he becomes submerged in longing for ras and bhakti. Thus Narad, seeing Vasudeva absorbed in the mood of an ordinary person, teaches him as if he were an ordinary person. Narad makes him happy by praising Vasudeva's good fortune in 6 verses. You will attain the Supreme Lord, he says. Yuvayo kaludam patyor yashasa puritam jagat putratam agamar yadavam bhagavan ishvaro hari. The whole world has become filled with the glories of you. The whole world has become filled with the glories of you and your good wife, because the Supreme Lord has taken the position of your son. Darshana lingana lapai shayanasana bhojanai atmavam pavita krishne putra sneham prakurvato. You and your wife Devaki, having manifested love for Krishna and accepted him as your son, have purified yourselves by seeing him, embracing him, speaking with him, resting with him, sitting together with him, and taking your meals with him. Vairenayam nripataya shishupala pondara shalvadayo gativilasya vilokanadyai Dhyayanta akrita dhiya shayanasanado tat samyama puranurakta dhyam punakim. Inimical kings like Shishupal, Pondraka, and Shalva, while they were lying down, sitting, or engaging in other activities, enviously meditated upon the bodily movements of the Lord, his sporting pastimes, and his loving glances. Being thus always absorbed in Krishna, they achieved positions in the spiritual world. What then can be said of the benedictions offered to those who constantly fix their minds on Lord Krishna in a favorable, loving mood? Commentary. So someone might say, but thinking of the Lord as one son gives rise to obstacles, since we see that as parents we offended the Lord. That's what Vasudeva says. But then the answer is, no, that is not so. Even those who become absorbed in Krishna with hatred become successful. What to speak of those who serve him with devotion? Even those who become absorbed in Krishna with hatred become successful, so what to speak of those who serve him with devotion? Those who thought of Krishna's form with its movements and with its movement and glances, but not its sweetness, while lying down, sitting, etc., attained Sayuja, or Swarupya. How much more the devotees will attain? There is no possibility of offense for those devotees. Mapatya buddhimakrita Krishne sarvatmanishvare maya manushya bhavena goraishvarye parevyaye. Do not think that the Supreme Lord, the soul of all beings who conceals his powers, makes a show of appearing to be your son. Having a human form as his surup, he hides his powers, but remains with undiminished powers. He hides them, although he remains with them, completely undiminished. He has them in full, all his powers. Commentary. You should think of Krishna with attachment, not indifference. Do not think that Krishna is the Supreme Lord and just makes an appearance of being your son, though he actually is not. Don't think that. Think, he is my son. Then Vasudeva would say, but how can the Lord become the son of a mortal like me? So in response, as a human, he hides his powers by his mercy. Then as a human, he becomes the son of you, another human. But even then, he remains supreme with all powers undiminished. The word Maya is used to awaken Vasudeva to the truth. Actually, Krishna's human form is his Sarup. It is not illusory. Thus, Maya here means Sarup. Bhubharasura rajanya hantave guptaye satam avatirnasya nirvrityay yasholoke vitanyate. The Lord descended to kill the demoniac kings who were the burden of the earth. He also descended to protect the saintly devotees, and also to award liberation to the demons and prem to the devotees. His fame has spread throughout the universe. Commentary. The Lord appeared to kill the kings who were burdened to the earth, to protect the devotees, and to give pleasure to both by giving sayuja to the demons and prem to the devotees. Thus, the Lord cannot be accused of being biased or hateful. Shri Yuga-avataras etat shrutva mahabhago vasudeva tivismita devaki cha mahabhaga jahatur mohamatmana. Shukadeva Gosvāmī said, having heard this narration, the greatly fortunate Vasudeva was completely struck with wonder. Thus, he and his most blessed wife Devaki gave up their ignorance concerning Krishna. They gave up their ignorance concerning Krishna awarding liberation to demons. Commentary. They gave up the ignorance concerning Krishna awarding liberation to demons. Itihasam imam punyam dharayed yasamahita savidhuye hashamalam brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Anyone who meditates on this pure historical narration with attention will destroy ignorance in this very life and thus achieve liberation. Commentary. Destroying ignorance, shamalam, he will attain liberation. Thus ends the commentary on the 5th chapter of the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam, for the pleasure of the devotees in accordance with the previous acharyas. So tomorrow we will read chapter 6. How does it begin? Shukadeva Goswami said, Lord Brahma then set off for Dwarka, accompanied by his own sons, as well as by the Devatas and the great Prajapatis. Lord Shiva, the bestower of auspiciousness to all living beings, also went, surrounded by many ghostly creatures. Okay, so we will read chapter 6 tomorrow. Hare Krishna. So Brahma visits Dwarka, that's chapter 6. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Jai Shishi Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari, Shishi Radha Vinod Bihari Ju Ki Jai. Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju Ki Jai. Nittil Pavishtam Vishnupad Ashtatara Shata Shishmar Bhakti Viranta Narayan Goswami Mahārāja Śrīla Gurudev Ki Jai. Nittil Pavishtam Vishnupad Ashtatara Shata Shishmar Bhakti Viranta Vaman Goswami Mahārāja Ki Jai. Nittil Pavishtam Vishnupad Ashtatara Shata Shishmar Bhakti Viranta Swami Mahārāja Śrīla Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nittil Pavishtam Vishnupad Ashtatara Shata Shishmar Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nittil Pavishta Mahā-Bhagavat Śrīla Gorkishora Babaji Mahārāja Ki Jai. Nittil Pavishta Śrīla Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Ṭhākura Ki Jai. Nittil Pavishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Śrīla Jagannathas Babaji Mahārāja Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Gauriya Guru Varga Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Sorry, I spaced out for a second. Shri Rupa Gauriya Guru Varga Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jeev Gopala Padadasha Raghunath Shara Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Shri Haridas Ṭhākura Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Kshetra Mandal Gaura Mandal Vraja Mandal Mathura Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Sarva Abhishta Pradata Giriraj Mahārāja Ki Jai. Radha Kun Shama Kun Yamuna Ganga Tulsi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Grantaraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Ki Jai. Śrīla Viśvanātha Cakravartī Ṭhākura Ki Jai. Sārārtha-darśīni Vritti Ki Jai. Śrīla Gurudev Ki Jai. Śrīla Bhakti Rakṣaka Śrīla Goswami Mahārāja Ki Jai. Shri Sarva Gurutamaya Shri Chaitanya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Ki Jai. Yuga-avataras Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Samagata Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Vrindai Tulsi Devai Priyai Keshavashacha Krishna Bhakti Pradadevi Satyavatai Namo Namaha. Vancha Kalpatarubhyashta Kripa Sindhu Bhyai Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Dandavat pranams, everybody. Oh, and Dira Mataji, I'm sorry to hear that. Anyways, I finished like 1 minute overtime, and then I just I read a little bit from the 6th chapter, so there's not much to catch up with. But all right. All right, Dandavat pranams, everybody. Thank you so much for letting me read all that also, all the Sridhara Goswami Maharaj and my Gurudev's commentary and Vajrana Hasya. It's perfect timing. We ended just 1 minute overtime. And yeah, see you all tomorrow for chapter 6. If you want to see the calendar, what's coming up again. So, Ramanujacharya and Srila Bhakti Hridaya Bhanu Goswami Maharaj, their appearance days are coming up in 3 days. Ram Navami is in 7 days. And also Srila Bhakti Vallabha Tirtha Goswami Maharaj, that's also in 7 days. Vyanjali Mahadvadashi is in 10 days. And Rasa Yatra of Lord Balaram is in 14 days, in 2 weeks. So those are all the titis coming up. All right. See you all tomorrow. Jai Shri Radhe. Hari Bol. Hari Bol Prajamna Prabhu. Dandavat pranams. Hare Krishna.